All right, we're continuing the Pythagorean theorem. So for this question, they want us to solve for x. Looking at this image, how many triangles or right triangles are there? One. No, there's two. What is black is an acute triangle. If you look at the inside, there's a line there that's making a perpendicular line. That's my right triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this triangle, just the right triangle, and I'm going to label it. What am I labeling my sides? What is what? My hypotenuse is x. What's the bottom measurement? 6. And what's the side measurement? It is not 6. It is not x. Think about it. If this entire side, good. If this entire side is 6, half of it's going to be 3. So now what am I labeling these things? What's my A, what's my B, and what's my C?
A is 3.
Okay.
B is 6.
And C, X is my hypotenuse. So go ahead and plug it into the formula and solve for X. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to solve it. All right, don't forget your formula. It's A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and then plug in. Go ahead and plug in what you have. So right now you have 3 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. This is a 6, not a B. What's 3 squared? 9. And 6 squared?
36.
Good, equals X squared. Go ahead and add them together. 36 plus 9, what would you get?
45.
Good, perfect. How do I get rid of a squared? Square root it. So now I have square root 45x equals x. Simplify 45, square root of 45. If you did not simplify it, please go ahead and simplify it. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to simplify it if you forgot. Radical 45. How can I simplify this? What am I going to use? 9, or 5 and 9. Are any of these perfect roots?
Yes.
9 is a perfect root, and that's going to give me a 3. Can I simplify my 5 anymore? No. So for your x, it should have equaled 3 radical 5, and you're done. Questions on this one? All right, looking at this one, things you have to remember. Please highlight these because it's super important that you know it. When you're looking at your formula, when they're asking you, is it a right triangle, how you're solving it, you're squaring the longest side, highlight it please, the longest side of a triangle. It has to be equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. So it's always the longest side squared equals the other two sides added together squared. Okay, if you solved it and it's equal, that means it is a right triangle. So looking at it, it has to be equal, and it makes it a right triangle. All right, going to the next slide. Same thing, except now you're using an inequality symbol. Again, you're taking the longest side squared. If the longest side squared is less than the sum of the squares of the other two sides, then the triangle is acute. Okay, so look at how the formula rule for it is written. Your c squared is going to go first, and it's definitely going to help if you put the c squared first. So the examples that we solve in the next couple of slides, I'm going to put my c squared first because it's a lot easier to see rather than switching it. So I'm going to do c squared first, try and figure out what it is, and then add the rest. Okay, do the rest. So looking at the next one, again, it's almost the exact same thing, except you're still squaring your long side, but now it has to be greater than. So if your longest side squared is greater than the sum of the square of the other two sides, then the triangle is obtuse. And I know this sounds like just gibberish. So looking at the examples, I think it'll definitely help on the next slide. And again, it has to be greater than to be obtuse. All right, looking at this example, in order for it to be a triangle, this is something that you should know because if there's a question on a test or a quiz and the number falls outside of this range, then it's not a triangle. Okay, So what I mean by that is looking at A and B, that's what I'm going to use. If I took 21, I'll use a black, 21 minus 20, and 21 plus 20. This is going to give me 1. This is going to give me 41. Your longest side has to fall in between this range. If it does not, then it's not a triangle. So if the longest side does not fall within that range, then it's not a triangle. So what do I mean by this? If there's a question on a quiz or on a test and it's giving you 3 sides of a triangle and it says, is it acute, right, obtuse, or none? Then giving you an example of 20, 21, and if I said 42, if you just check it, okay, figure out the range. Does 42 fall within that range? No? So then it's none. It can't work because this number, the longest side, does not fall within that range. So you're taking the 2 smallest sides and you're 1 adding them, 2 subtracting them, and it has to fall within that range in order for it to be one of the 3. So please make sure you remember that because that's an easy strategy if they're giving you those options. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solve them. I understand that this is a really dark box, so I am going to do this one in an orange or a yellow. I'll do it in yellow. All right, you have A. So solving this, like I said before, I'm going to put C squared first. So I have 29 squared. Trying to figure out what my symbol is it greater than, less than, or equal to. So I'm going to take that one. And then I'm going to take my A and square it, plus my B and square it. So solving it, you guys have your calculators. For today, if you don't have a calculator, you can use your phone. Just plug it in. 29 times 29, that's 29 squared. You're going to get 841. Still figuring out my sign. 400 plus 441. Now all I have to do is evaluate it, solve one side. 841, 841. What's my symbol that should go in the middle? Equal. So what kind of triangle is this? It's a right triangle. All right, that's how you're figuring it out. Let me go ahead and do B so you could see another example. Looking at B, I'll do it in white. All right, so same thing, doing my C first. 30 squared, obviously it's not going to be equal because we're using a different number now. And then I have 20 squared plus 21 squared. We already solved this half, so we know it's 841. 30 squared is going to be 900. What should my symbol be in the middle? A greater than symbol or a less than symbol? Good, it's greater than. If it's greater than, what kind of triangle is it? Good, it's an obtuse. Okay, so if you were to switch these around and put your C squared last, keep in mind of the symbol. Your longest side has to be greater. Okay, so because my longest side is greater, so here's my longest side, and it's greater, it's going to be an obtuse triangle. Go ahead and solve C, D, and E. All right, go ahead and check your work, please. C, D, and E. Again, just a reminder, please make sure for this one you distribute that 2. You get 16 times 3, and same thing for here. It's just going to give you 10. You're just pulling up the whole number. All right, this slide just gives you a summary of what we just solved for. So this is like a little sum up of the side lengths. So just highlighting it again. If they're equal, then it's a right triangle. If your longest side is less than, it's acute. If your longest side is greater than, it's obtuse. So this is a good way to visually see all of them in one slide. But go ahead and submit the notes, please. And then your homework is due Monday.